Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hakuouki Zuisoroku, the fan disc material or the extras added to the PS3 version of the game. Today we are working on the very last video that we have exclusively for Nagakura Shinpachi, Days Past 4. And then we won't get to see any exclusive material of his until Kyoto Winds comes out in like 2 more weeks. So let's see what we have for our last of our experiences with him in this game. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. November 1867. As bigger conflicts bloom on the horizon, the protagonist begins to worry that she is causing problems for the Shinsengumi. She works up the courage to ask Nagakura if it's alright for her to stay, and he tells her that perhaps she should leave. That's kinda disappointing.
But now they won't even let us die?
Any man who took up the sword chose a path of death. He was expected to prepare himself to kill and to be killed. So to Nagakura, it was cruel to keep him from death. Drinking the water of life to prolong a life that should have been lost. They had turned Heisuke, who should have died at Abarano Koji, into a fury. And Nagakura's heart was in turmoil because of it. November 1867. After the Satsumo domain learned of the restoration of imperial rule, their warriors began to stream into Kyoto. The Shinsengumi had been reassigned to the Fushimi magistrate's office to guard it. It was around that time, however, that Kondo was shot in the shoulder while returning from a conference. Though the Shinsengumi searched high and low for the culprit, none was ever identified. It was clear to everyone, however, that war was about to break out. Kondo and Okita were sent to Osaka Castle for treatment and to recuperate. The rest of the men who remained at the magistrate's office set about preparing for war. As the end of the year approached, the city felt ready to explode. Sitting on a powder keg. In Days Past, Part 4. December 1867. It's too bad our last video with him can't be a happy epilogue like the other guys. All around the magistrate's office were Satsumo warriors dressed in armor and carrying weapons. None moved to attack, but the air was thick with tension. Inoue and I, on our way back from running errands, gave them a polite nod hello as we stepped into the magistrate's office.
Goodness, things are worse than I expected. I imagine war is inevitable now.
Yeah. I thought back to how many soldiers we'd seen while out on our errands. The head vassal of the Satsumo domain was currently meeting with the imperial court, likely attempting to win their favor. If he gave the order, all the warriors we'd seen would immediately go on the attack. Are we going to be okay? I clapped my mouth shut when I realized what I'd done, but it was too late. Inoue gave me a small smile.
Try not to think about that right now. Worrying about it won't accomplish anything, will it? We do what we can, and that's all there is to it. That's how we've made it this far.
You're right.
Now, let's go make some dinner, Your cooking is quite popular with the men, you know. I'm sure it'll cheer them up.
Thanks. I mustered a small smile for him and headed off. I couldn't help but wonder, though, if war was about to begin, was it alright for me to be there? Would I be in the way when fighting started? Not to mention, would I attract demons to the fray? Then again, the decision wasn't entirely up to me. Perhaps Hijikata would give me new orders soon. In the meantime, as Inoue said, I would do what I could. Unfortunately, the decision did little to ease my anxiety, so I threw myself into cooking. Busy work. A war on the horizon meant that there was no time for the warriors to sit still, and they were too busy to all eat at once. Once they'd finished, they had returned to work immediately. As a result, the food we prepared was generally simple things such as rice balls. Today, however, we had fresh fish, and I decided that a nicer dinner might be in order. As I watched the meat, though, with grim faces and mechanical movements, I began to wonder if I had made the wrong decision. I was beginning to think that making nice food when everyone felt so down had been a terrible mistake when Nagakura appeared. We're still eating, it's still nourishment.
Hey, this looks delicious as always. Fried fish, miso soup, pickled vegetables. This smells great.
I made a lot, so feel free to eat all you want. Finally, somebody who can appreciate my cooking.
Thanks, I will.
In no time at all, he was halfway through a large serving of rice, grinning happily. Even though he was only doing what he always did, I suddenly found myself laughing.
Huh? What's up? Aren't you going to eat?
Oh no, it's just, you're acting like it's really delicious, and that just made me happy.
What do you mean, acting? It is delicious. Why would I pretend like it wasn't?
Thank you. I'm just worried maybe I shouldn't have done all this. Everybody's thinking about war. A lot of the men don't really seem to have an appetite. They still need to eat. I glanced over at how much rice had been left behind by the other warriors and felt a twinge of sadness.
Times are tough right now, so we gotta eat a lot. Otherwise, we won't get the energy and nutrients our bodies need.
Exactly.
I mean, we're gonna have to fight whether we eat or not. So, seconds please.
He's got the right idea. I took his bowl and scooped in another helping of rice. Here you go. I handed the bowl back, and he set to eating again with a wink. Even now he was all smiles, but I knew that in many ways they were only a facade. Heisuke had become a fury after the Battle of Abarano Koji. Nagakura had been questioning Kondo's decision for several months, but approving the use of the water of life on Heisuke had reopened that wound. Now the chief was wounded, and Okito was growing worse. I had no doubt that Nagakura's doubts and unhappiness had only grown since that night in Nishihongonji. If I hadn't seen his guard fall then, I would likely have never known what was hiding behind his cheerful demeanor. If anything, he was more energetic than ever, and that buoyed our spirits. Nagakura was a man of strength, perhaps more than most realized. I knew he was already under a good deal of stress, and didn't wish to place him under more, but I needed to know. Can I ask you something?
Yeah, what is it? I'll give you the best answer I can.
I was silent for a moment while I worked up the courage to actually ask. Is it okay for me to stay here? He stopped eating.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just worried that if I stay here, then I'll be in the way. Nagakura set his bowl down. He set his jaw, and I could see that this was a question he too had asked. Until this moment, neither of us had been brave enough to say it aloud. He seemed to be debating something with himself, but after a long moment of silence, he appeared to make up his mind.
It's not really my thing to say it's okay, when it's not, so I think I'm just gonna tell you what I think.
Okay?
I think you should go to Osaka Castle.
I half expected him to say as much. It wasn't as if I hadn't considered the same thing myself. We both knew that I would be useless to the Shinsengumi in battle. Leaving seemed like the wise choice. I had to say okay. Just okay, that's all there is to it. Well, I mean, because we're going to lose doesn't sound exactly happy either, so. Need more choices! Of course. Though he might not say it, I was a liability. He assumed my first reaction to danger could only be fear. His estimation of our chances in war was likely accurate, but if Kazuma and his band chose that moment to attack, our loss would be almost assured. The only reason Kazuma would attack, of course, was me. Okay. Tears began to prick at the corners of my eyes, and I turned away. After I finished cleaning up, I'll get ready to leave. I took a deep breath and blinked the tears away. I turned back to Nagakura and gave him a short bow. Thank you for everything. Staying here meant so much to me.
No, I'm not. You don't. Look, you're not some sort of burden, it's just,
Whatever he said, though, I knew the truth, and even his kindness hurt. No, it's okay. I understand. I couldn't ask any more of Nagakura. I didn't want him to see me cry, though, so I clambered to my feet and turned around. Stop her, Nagakura!
Hey, wait! That's not what I meant!
I felt his hand on my wrist.
Oh.
He seemed surprised to realize he actually touched me, and for a moment I thought he might drop my arm. But instead, it only seemed to bolster his resolve, and I felt his grip tighten. Oh.
Listen, I'm not trying to get rid of you or something, it's just...
He seemed nervous, and he paused in the middle of his sentences to clear his throat awkwardly.
There are Satsuma soldiers right on the other side of the gate. If war breaks out, This here is going to be the front line. I just thought that would be kind of scary to you.
Telling him I wasn't scared would have been a lie, of course. I'd seen battle before, but it had never ceased to be terrifying, and I doubted it ever would.
Besides, we didn't really give you a lot of choice about staying here in the beginning, you know? You don't owe us anything, so you shouldn't feel like you have to stick around. If you got killed when the fighting broke out, I'd never be able to forgive myself. I just figured, if you're planning to leave us someday, this day is probably a good one.
He ran a nervous hand through his hair and frowned.
The thing is, you're like my kid's sister or something. I don't want to see you cry. I don't want you to get hurt. If you can go live a good life and find happiness somewhere, that's what I want you to do.
He bit his lip and shook his head, like there was something he couldn't get right.
Sorry, look, let's just go back a bit. You heard my opinion, but I haven't heard yours, and that's really the one that matters. Chizuru, what is it you want? Do you want to stay here, or...?
Can I say anything more than I looked up into his eyes and spoke. I know that I can't really do much to help. If I stay here, then I might get in the way and cause problems. I know it's selfish, but... He looked at me, waiting patiently, with his warm eyes that were always watching out for me. I knew what I wanted might make his life more difficult, but... Even then, I found it oddly easy to tell him how I felt. I want to stay here.
I see.
He closed his eyes and leaned back, deep in thought. For several long moments, the room was silent. Then, just as I was beginning to think I had been, perhaps, too selfish...
I see.
They were the same words, but they sounded different somehow. He opened his eyes.
Alright then, if that's what you want, I'm ready.
What?
It's obvious what you want and how much you want it. Of course I'm going to be on your side.
A smile as bright as the sun creased his face, and he squeezed my hands. Actually, the way he said that, it almost sounded like he just suddenly realized I had a crush on him, and he's ready for it.
Leave it to me, Chizuru. If you want to stick around, I'll look out for you. I can't exactly win a war by myself, but I think I can handle protecting a single girl. Everything's gonna be fine.
I don't know, you might have a bit of trouble fighting some demons. Are you sure? Is that really okay?
Don't be stupid, of course it is. I made up my mind and that's all there is to it. Here, pinky swear. Will that make you believe me?
He held out his hand, pinky extended. I reached out timidly. Another picture! Hooray! We got 2 pictures of Nagakura. Oh man, look at it. I love seeing his muscles. I mean, they aren't 100% accurate, but it's still good looking. And his large bony finger wrapped around my tiny one. Aw, it's so cute.
Pinky swear. You ready?
His smile and the warmth of his hand melted away the fear in my heart.
It's gonna be alright.
Nagakura was not the kind of man to go back on a promise. I could trust him. He would protect me no matter what.
Hey, don't get all mushy on me now. Just keep on doing your thing. I'm going to look forward to more delicious meals.
Okay. Until the day I told him to stop, I knew that Nagakura would keep to his oath. I smiled. I love that grin. And he smiled back.
There we go. That's the smile I was looking for. You should do more of that.
Alright.
Okay, here we go. Break your word and you'll drink 1,000 needles.
We swung our connected hands in a final sort of handshake, then released them dramatically. It was all exactly what I would have expected from him. I realized all my anxiety had dissipated.
Well, now that we made our promise, I need to store up some energy. Give me thirds.
I think he'll finish up the food that everybody else neglected to eat. He handed me his empty bowl again. What? You're still hungry?
Of course. Food is the source of life.
And he's got a lot of life in him.
I take my life very seriously, and that means I have to take my food very seriously.
And that's why he's always stealing it from Heisuke. I felt my face break into a grin. You're right. I'm going to eat a lot too then. My voice sounded as cheerful as his. Ah. For Nagakura, the men he'd met in his youth at Shiei Hall were friends he could never forget. For somewhere along the line, it seemed their paths may have diverged, and he was still searching for the right one. I promised myself that the day he finally found that answer would be the day I would release him from our promise. Just as he'd happily accept my selfish request. I wanted to happily accept his choice. But until that day came, I would depend on him. Oh, I wish there was more, but there isn't. 2 more weeks, people. 2 more weeks and we'll have more Nagakura and Sanan and Yamazaki and the new guys. But as for the next episode, I'm going to go ahead and read Sanan next. I was going to go in the order of this guide, but it has Kondo next, and I don't really want to read Kondo next. So I'm going to do Sanan, then Yamazaki, and then Kondo. Huh, looks like Nagakura actually had the lion's share of scenes. The other guys don't have as many as he did, so okay, won't be quite as many episodes. I see. Still plenty of other things coming up, though. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it all done in time for Kyoto Winds or not. We'll see. So hope to see you tomorrow for the first video for Sanan, or maybe in some of my other videos. And I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye bye, everybody.